Hi folks, Candy here from CH Accounting. You will notice there's a glaring empty spot over here where the Tracy normally is. Tracy is home today. If you're in Cape Breton, you know why. It's pretty ugly out there. And we haven't even bothered to do anything with our driveway yet. So nobody's going anywhere. I don't encourage anyone to go anywhere. If you have any reason to leave your house today, rethink it because it's pretty gross out there. So I'm going to do live on my own. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do and sort of reading over some stuff last night. And I know I tend to sort of go on and on and on about the same credits all the time, but I think there's one that you guys might misunderstand. And I was looking some previous tax filers up in my software to see what they were claiming, and I think we need to do some clarification on a couple things. So I got a couple things I'm going to cover. First off is the public transit pass. Okay, so I miss you too. Tracy's watching. Tracy, doing this on my own is not as fun. Just let you know that. I feel all business today. It's kind of sucky. But anyways, stay home. It's gross. Like, you can't even see out my door. It's gross. So, yeah, so we're going to touch public transit pass. If you pay a monthly fee for a public transit pass, that is an eligible tax credit, okay? So we don't necessarily ask everybody about it, but definitely if you pay for a public transit pass, be sure to let us know, okay? There are so many different credits in the tax system that it's impossible for me to ask you about every single one of them without you sitting here for about 3 hours. But definitely, if you use public transit, mention it to us when you come to get your taxes done. The monthly one is a no-brainer. You can also get a tax credit if you only buy them weekly, but there's certain rules, and you know there's some more complications to it if you don't buy monthly passes. Doesn't mean you can't claim them. It just means that you need to follow a little bit more strict rules. So if you use public transit on a regular basis, mention it to us while we're here, okay? Hi, Janice. I hope weather is better for you, Janice, than it is here in Cape Breton, because it is ugly today. Okay, so the next thing that I want to touch on, remember, public transit passes. Come, let us know. The next thing I want to touch on is the adoption expense. So this is a weird one. I caught something on TV last night about adoption, and it occurred to me that maybe not everyone who adopts knows that there are benefits to that on your taxes. So it's a long, convoluted, crazy mess, but what I want you to do is be aware that if you adopt a child in the tax year, there's a deduction for that, okay? There's a adoption expenses deduction. So lots of times you have to get lawyers involved, sometimes there's plane tickets, all that kind of stuff, okay? So if you have adopted a child in the last 10 years, because remember, we can go back 10 years and fix things. So if you have adopted a child already, since 2006, we'll say right now, it'll be 2007 in a couple weeks, if you have adopted a child or you're thinking about adopting a child, make yourself aware of the deductions that you can take for that, okay? There are some expenses that you can write your income down with. So, again, another thing I'm not going to ask everybody that walks in the door about, but definitely ask us for sure. If you have, just call me up and say, hey, I adopted a kid 4 years ago. Really? Can I do anything with this? And we'll work through it, okay? I love you guys too. It feels very weird not having the Tracy here today. It's very strange, but and it's funny because today was going to be her last day before Christmas vacation. So she's officially on vacation now until the new year. So enjoy it, Tracy. I know we'll be in touch and you'll be over through the holidays and stuff, but I hope you take some time to actually enjoy yourself, because come January, it's going to suck in here. It's going to be busy. So this is going to be a short one today because I thought I had so much to talk about, but there's only one other one I wanted to talk about, and that is the volunteer firefighters amount. So here's the deal. Lots of you guys came to me last year and said, oh, my boss said I'm only allowed to use the lower one. Here's the thing. if you are a volunteer firefighter in Nova Scotia, you actually have 2 credits. Okay? So let's address them one at a time. There's a federal credit for volunteer firefighters. Currently, that does not include search and rescue, just volunteer firefighters, but I'm sure the federal are going to change it now that Nova Scotia's is changed as well. But if you're a firefighter, and I'm going to check my notes because I don't want to lie to you guys, but you have to be a minimum of 200 hours, okay? So in the calendar year, if you are a volunteer firefighter and put in a minimum of 200 hours, and your chief lists you on that list, he has to submit saying that you were an active volunteer firefighter in Canada, there's a $3,000 credit. Now, this isn't refundable. It just reduces your tax payable. But it'll take $3,000 off your income, and your tax calculation all of a sudden looks way better, right? So if you are a volunteer firefighter and you put in 200 hours in the year, you are eligible, okay? Cut and dry. Now, if you live in Nova Scotia, there's also a provincial credit. It's not one or the other, it's both. So you get the $3,000 credit, and if you live in Nova Scotia, there's a $500 refundable credit, which means you could get $500 back. Easy as that. Simple rules for the Nova Scotia one. Again, it's a provincial credit. Oh, I know. You know what? I could go off about volunteer people. Janice, I totally agree with you. I think that we should completely rewrite our tax situation. But yeah, the government doesn't listen to me very much. So if you live in Nova Scotia and you're a volunteer firefighter and you meet these conditions, again, I'm going to check my notes. You have to obviously reside in Nova Scotia. You have to have been a volunteer, a ground search and rescue, or volunteer firefighter for a minimum of 6 months during the year. Okay? So 6 months out of the calendar year. There's no outside, if you joined last December and you quit before the 6th month, then it doesn't count. You have to be 6 months within the calendar year. Okay? And you don't receive a salary or any kind of compensation. Now, they're allowed to reimburse you for expenses, but if you don't receive any kind of compensation or salary for your firefighting volunteerism, and you are listed as a volunteer on your fire chief's annual report, then you qualify. So, I think where the confusion comes in is the federal government used to have, or actually they still do, there's a $1,000, a separate $1,000 volunteer firefighter credit that no one claims anymore. It used to make sense if you fall into certain tax situations to claim the $1,000 one rather than the $3,000 line 362 credit. But now hardly anyone uses the $1,000 one anymore, and you don't even have to worry about it because when I'm doing your taxes, if the math makes sense and you're better off to use the smaller credit because of the way that your income falls, I'm just going to claim it anyways. But if your fire chief says to you that you're eligible to claim the credit, but claim the smaller one, he doesn't mean claim the provincial credit and not the federal credit. What he means is claim the $1,000 credit instead of the $3,000 non-refundable credit. Okay? So let's get this straight. You are eligible to claim both federal and provincial credits. It's no different than the DTC, right? If you have the disability tax credit, which I go on and on and on and on and on about, but if you have that credit, you're allowed to claim both the federal and the provincial amount. It's the same as the basic exemption. You're allowed to claim the federal $11,000 and then the provincial amount, depending on what province you're in. You claim both federal and provincial credits. There are very, very few exceptions to the rule, and I'll never let you file both if you're not allowed to file them both, okay? But remember, if you live in Nova Scotia, we have a refundable $500 credit that you should be claiming. And if you're not claiming it, then I'm going to give you hell. Basically, you need to be claiming it. I understand some of you guys, you don't want to get in trouble with your chief, but just qualify one thing for me before you come to get your taxes done. Ask your chief if you've been there 6 months, Ask your chief if you have put in your 200 hours and if you're on his list. If you are, I'll take care of the rest. Okay? I'll let you know what you can claim and what you can't claim. And trust me, you'll be much happier because it's a $500 provincial refundable credit. You get $500 back. So even if you paid no income tax in, you're still going to get $500 back. Take it. Take it. It's your money. Okay? Easy as that. Yeah, so kudos to everybody who worked on Janice's house. You did a good job. Very, very little loss there compared to, comparatively to, the mess could have been just, gross. I know I do a lot of taxes for volunteer firefighters here locally in North Sydney and Sydney Mines, and hopefully we'll get the rest of them this year. I think they all need to just, do everybody. Just get everybody to come in here. North Sydney Fire Department, Florence Fire Department, the Sydney Mines guys, just come in here and I'll get you the amount of money you need to get back. Leo's asking how you get $500 back. If you are a volunteer fire department member or a search and rescue member, you are going to apply for that credit on your income taxes. So you have to be 200 hours and 200 hours in 6 months. I lost my qualifications. But if you are 200 hours in 6 months, you're good to go. As long as you get on the dean's list, I call it the fire chief's list that he submits at the end of the year. No problem, brother. So I don't have any other things that I wanted to cover today. It's very weird not having Tracy in here. My office is very quiet today other than the crazy cat. But if you guys have any questions, speak up. Again, don't forget public transit pass if you use it. Don't forget adoption if you've done it. There are expenses you can deduct. And again, if you discover any of these credits you should have been using, we can go back as far as 10 years. 10 years and adjust your returns, okay? So if there's something wrong from 2008, let's go fix it and get your bucks. Simple as that. So yeah, public transit, adoption, and firefighters. Guys, if your chief disagrees with me, get him to call me. Simple as that. 902-574-1880. I am completely confident that you are able to claim both the federal and the provincial amount. You just can't claim both federal amounts. Okay? So if your chief, a lot of guys last year said to me, oh, my chief said I'm only supposed to claim the small one. Yeah, that's the $1,000 credit that nobody really claims anymore. Okay? But if your chief is saying that you're probably eligible for that, then that's fine. We'll look at that rather than the $3,000 federal credit. And again, those aren't refunds. Those are just tax reductions. But the provincial one is a refund. If you are a member, 6 months, 200 hours, there you go. Okay? I don't see any questions. Oh, one question. Video next week. Yes, Janice, I will be working. Let me look at my calendar. I'm not going to say I'm not going to work when I'm not going to work. I definitely am going to be working on the 23rd. And actually probably on the 30th too. I don't think we're going to miss a week, actually. The 30th, we're going to be wrapping up the year, which is crazy. I can't even believe this year is over already. But yeah, we're getting there. But yes, I will be here next week. I'm hiding in my office with the door closed and the heat cranked, so I'm quite warm. Warmer than the rest of the house, I think. But I pay the power bill, so it's all right. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know this video is not as much fun without Tracy, but she will be back in the new year, and we'll carry on, getting ready for tax season. Again, really appreciate all your support, you guys. Please don't hesitate to share the video, share our name, let everybody know we're out there. With Tracy's help, we're ready to take on some crazy tax, volume this year, so bring it on. All right. It's weird it's weird you not being here. It's so quiet, Tracy. It's weird in here. It's quiet and it's there's nothing funny going on at all. I'm a drag by myself. Oh man. All right, so Yeah. We'll see you guys next week. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. Bye-bye.